Hello, everybody. Gonna play Apollo Justice. Oh no, there's an ad playing in the background. No, don't do that. Go ahead and open this up. Now I have OBS with my chat in it. The OBS has big enough so I can actually read the chat. I've got this nice little setup here. I hope it looks good. Let's go ahead and start a new game. I'll turn the volume up. Okay, let's go. Turnabout Trump. It just occurred to me I should make a stylus. Okay. 1 second. Okay, there. Showdown time. You lose. Ah! I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please. The cop should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. April 20th, 9:37 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Panicked. Palm sweaty. I can admit it. I'm nervous. Ah, good morning. Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. That screeching noise. Is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial, and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, huh? I'm fine. I got up at 5 a.m. to do my Cord of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Ah, that explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I'm all over the drift. Oh crap, sorry if I turned the music down too low. There we go. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants me to help him out, of course. And so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. Phoenix Wright! Whoa! Good morning! Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous. Meeting him. Cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help? So you're... Fine. I'm fine. Ah, Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney, and he's your friend. So why You'll see. You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir. Okay, I need to focus. First trial, here comes justice. April 20th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. The court is now in session.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
The defense is, ready, Your Honor. Mind going blank. Don't panic. Too late. Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor. But I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin. Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always accede to his client's wishes. And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course he wants justice. But to entrust this case to this greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine, but does he have cords of steel? Now let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further then. If the prosecution could be so kind to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains. Oh god, I'm not gonna be able to do his voice. Ah, Winston Payne, subtle as ever, I see. Ahem. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him. Wham! On the head. Smack! Killed him cold. A customer sat at the restaurant, you say. And the defendant, you say he was the pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright, a pianist? This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. Grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Deadly bottle. Very deadly. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filled in the court record. Oh, fourth wall breaking. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record. Right, I've heard of that. Yes. Good. Let us look at it in 3D for no reason. Yes. Good. Oh my, what is that thing on the back? Probably nothing. Use the court record button to look at the evidence so far. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Right, the court record button. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. Hands-on action. So, the victim was a customer at this restaurant. Future! But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? Probably pretty shady. We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. A traveler? According to his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear. And he had some sort of connection with the defendant? That too is unclear at the present, Your Honor. Present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime. If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing.
That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean.
Dead.
As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime.
Wait a second! Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself! Guilty!
Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal.
Is it true that the defendant was engaged? I'm sorry. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Blue. Come again?
The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women.
That will be our first order of business here then, to find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure.
This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing.
The competition. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on the interesting customers over at the poker table. The room where we play in the competition in there are the club's main attraction. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is, a game. And our customers are happy. A pianist who can't play piano.
Better than a defense attorney who can't defend.
Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination.
Right, Your Honor. My first cross-examination. Don't blow it.
Are you alright? You're sweating bullets.
Well, bullets? Where?
It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too.
My brain feels strained and raspy, sir.
You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times, though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher?
What to do? Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course? No thanks. I've beaten you 3 games. No need for help here, sir. I think I've got this one covered.
I think you'd better do more than you think. You know it, or you do not.
I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons, press and present.
Find any inconsistencies and lies in the testimony and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies? Lies? Phoenix Wright.
As if Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it.
The defense may begin the cross-examination. The competition.
Press him!
Why can't you press at all?
You can hardly play.
Oh, I play sometimes, when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want.
Is that supposed to be a boast just now?
The title of pianist is a mask. A respectable face I wear for the world at large.
And why are you really at the Borscht Bowl Club?
My real job is to take on interesting customers over at the poker table.
Press it! They pay you just to play poker?
That would seem to be the case. I am a professional after all.
Bah! Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine.
Yes. Your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston.
What?
I've played poker for 7 years in that little room. And I've never lost. Once.
Huh?
You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw.
Wait, you've never lost once? Not even one time?
As I said, I'm a professional. He's playing poker for 7 years and not lost once. Is that even possible? The room where we play in the competition in there are the club's main attractions. Oh man, I'm sorry, I can't read. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? It has quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. But black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say that there are a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room. Gambling hoods, you know. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad! The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. The room had a few other tricks to it. No, it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. Hold it! 2 decks of cards. A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue with a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker you make 5-card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right! It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were at the room at the very moment that the crime occurred. Yet you claim no connection to the crime? Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. Ah! Oh, I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right. There's something I'd like to make clear, namely, your connection to the case at hand, and I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well, the defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press, and I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the weapon. Silence? The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait. Something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. Now what was it? When you figure it out, I suggest presenting evidence. Evidence? That contradicts the testimony. Contradiction? Mr. Wright's testimony, but why? I better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right, I got it. I'm fine. He never touched it, huh? But it's got his prints on it. Wait. Objection! So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon? This grape juice bottle? Right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
Hee hee hee. Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb.
What's this, Mr. Payne?
I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints.
Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case.
But what about my cords of steel? Anyway,
what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone don't prove he did. Objection!
Oh hey, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints.
Huh?
But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down.
Upside down? What does that mean?
It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can only be one reason for that. Yes. To brain someone with the bottle.
Ah! Mr. Kevin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh? I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything. Oh man, what's that static noise? It's coming from the game. There's a good reason for everything, you'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. It seems to be in that that bit of the game, that music. The music is corrupted, no! Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case.
I'm sure he's uncooperative. He's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason.
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it that reported the murder to the police? Reported?
Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that...
Really?
Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone.
Near the scene?
Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant.
I see. And this is the phone that made the call? Wright's cell phone added to the court record. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative? Nice save, Mr. Gavin. I better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being.
It's toyed? I assure you no one is more serious about...
What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness.
Hee hee hee.
Yeah. This is voice.
You're as good as they say you are.
So someone else is in the room on the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. No! Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand.
The witness will state her name and profession.
Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness?
I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns.
So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off.
Eep. Are you sure?
I swear it to my gavel. Please come out. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor?
Well, if you are sure it's okay.
Now the prosecution... Wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's, paraphernalia?
Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely tools of her trade.
And that would be?
My name is Olga Ori.
I forgot, she's all Russian. Gotta get the Russian accent going.
I am employed. I can't do a female Russian. As waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant.
And why the camera?
Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht in that his naming restaurant. But I also perform, how it is said, other service.
I take it one of these other services is taking customers' pictures.
Yeah. Like, for example, this one.
That's the defendant?
Indeed, on the night of the murder. Man in white hat is one who gone kaput.
Indeed. That is the victim. Order! This is quite a piece of evidence. Evidence is casually dropped into our laps.
It is the same way I drop cold blows of borscht on laps of customers. Casually.
Then the court will casually accept this new evidence. Olga's photo added to the court record.
Yeah, witness. Where were you at the time of the murder? I was in the room. The hideout, we call it.
Excuse me?
The hideout? It is room where famous gangster Bad Guy was arrested.
Bad guy! Bad guy.
It's room where murder took place.
What?
Your look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post my courtroom door later for you. Yeah. Photos will be numbered, and you will write which ones you want a copy of.
So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga O'Reilly. Our witness. And if Mr. Wright wasn't the killer, that means... Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about that night's events. That fateful night.
That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players play with hats on, yeah? The victim, he plays whole time with his hands unlocked at his neck. Then last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, da? That man flew at victim, and is strangling him to death.
Incidentally, who won the game?
Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith.
That's ridiculous, because Mr. White can't lose! Justice, maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection? Sounds like you're having a stroke. But he hadn't 7 years.
Take it from me, kid. It happens.
Oh god. I can't do female voices.
I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as a prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips. They lay at the very moment of the crime. I'm just gonna stop the voices now. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
Chips, you say?
I mean, yes.
Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and your chips are the spoils. I know that. After all, in my youth I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Chip photo added to the court record. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. That fateful night. Lock it?
His locket? I believe it was good luck charm, da? He gripped it many times. I'm sorry, just reading it makes makes the accent. He gripped it many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt it as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is the locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket? Of course! I knew that. It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of healing, or hard of understanding. So what happened next? Do the activation, buddy! Then last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, ah? That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death. Wait a minute! But the defendant would never do. Well, now I can't say I've heard the defense try this time. If possible, please refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Perhaps it is because the defendant has lost game? Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners are sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead, I believe you know what is up. What is... Right, sir, leave it to me. Only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. Okay, we gotta press the last statement with the bottle or something again. I got you now, oh really? Okay. He wasn't strangled though. He was attacked with a bottle. Oh really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Nah, normal customers only choke on borscht. No, I mean this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Ah! Miss O'Reilly, right now, did you witness the crime? Gotta catch the borscht. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit. But I've seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck. Oh really, Miss O'Reilly? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time, Justice. I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's only one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. The last hand is done. Something terrible has happened. Huh? You hit him with bottom. Press it! You didn't say anything about hitting before. So sorry. I must be forgetting this, da. Witness! You will take greater care with your testimony. Da. I'm sorry, Your Honor. And that clears up the discrepancy between the autopsy report, I believe. The defendant made to strangle his victim, then changed his mind. And chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Yes, that sums it up nicely. So he strangled him, then hit him? Something's fishy about all this. Go ahead, I believe you know what it is you need to do. Okay, blah 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 blah. Gotta press it all. You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? Da, I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cars, more borscht. It is my work. It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as waitress.
Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination.
It was cold. Both players played with hats on, yeah?
It's already April. How could it be cold?
At Borscht Boat Club, we have pride on authentic Russian restaurant theme. Outside it is city in spring, but inside it is always cold as Mother Russia!
No way am I going in there.
When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, da? The victim, he plays his whole time with hand on locket in his neck.
Let's see. Let's check. There is no knock locket!
You know, there was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said.
Oh, crap. No, I don't want to save and suspend. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor.
The victim played with his hand on the locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar.
No, but look at this photograph.
Do you see a locket on the victim's neck?
Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taken it off? Wait, you don't mean the defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Ah!
Yeah.
The defendant! What do you have to say to this? Say. Yes? I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you?
Oh? You mean this? Yeah, it's a locket with a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter.
Can you come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter?
We confirmed at the time of the arrest, the picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter.
So Mr. Wright has a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more of the outcome of the game.
Further testimony won't be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost, badly.
Miss O'Reilly, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and defendant.
Da.
Serious competition.
The game began with 35,000 points. 3,500 points for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For last hand, defendant played with all chips on table and loose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and...
Indeed, just looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game. Or is it?
As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Ah, how many times have I heard these words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret what I done. A common tale, but true. Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hadn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. The chips are the smaller, the more expensive ones. Press! Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used?
Da. Of course.
I'm just fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Press harder! Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips.
Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips. Not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop, not...
Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I'd better ask her something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars? In rubles, even?
Yeah. As I have been saying before, it was game, not gambling. hard perhaps for capitalists to understand. Communist Mother Russia. 2 types of chips, 100-point and 1000-point chip. It is not money, ta?
Justice, don't you find her comment interesting?
In more ways than one, sir.
I have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defendant want the witness to add to her testimony?
Yes, add!
Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well, witness. If you would be so kind.
Da, Your Honor. One kind of chip, other's kind worth 1,000.
Wait a minute! You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure?
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at this picture is enough to tell you who won. If you're not in kindergarten...
Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points?
Why, the big ones, of course. Duh!
Me? Yeah, I played this case. Only this case. I don't think I finished it, though. Oh, I thought so, too. But then the totals don't add up.
The totals?
Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and the combined total value of these chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct, let's see. 30 plus 1, carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up,
how much is it?
Do it yourself. You aren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony.
But why? How could this be?
Exactly, Justice. Now that you know what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in the photograph, then there can only be one answer. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around.
What?
Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000, not the big ones.
Madness! Utter madness!
Show me that photograph of the chips again. There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does say 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I'm the one who said it.
But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing.
Indeed, the victim did have a larger number of chips still. Ah! Exactly. If the small chips are worth 1,000 points and the large chips are worth 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table.
Ah!
The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and had 4,100 points. Well now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. Sorry.
That's impossible!
My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning!
Yeah!
Now, Miss O'Reilly, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you?
Yeah! My bush!
Order! Order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust the— Hold it! Excuse me? What is it, Miss Orley?
I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see,
See what, Mr. Orley? What did we see?
In the last hand, there was cheat.
A cheat? You don't mean a trick? Wait, or do you mean a scam? They're all the same thing.
Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips though as they are.
Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn for the interesting. Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand. The final hand.
The last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck, from ace to king. If you look at both men's hand, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument, ah? The defendant's trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith.
Miss Orley, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. A full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make, in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics.
Mr. Gavin, what's a full house?
Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker?
I can't say this bodes well for your case or career. What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice, you know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes?
Yeah? No problem.
2 cards with the same number makes a pair, 3 makes 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture of a hand with 1 pair, 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it?
You can see each player's hand in the photo. Wow, they both have full houses. We forget, there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You can cheat.
The defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? The final hand. What do you mean? How is it clear?
Well, the defendant, he played a 5th ace.
A 5th ace?
I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's 2.
Obviously, cheating was afoot. Or perhaps I should say, a hand. Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony. Without Mr. Payne's jokes? Very well. The witness will add this detail to her testimony, please.
3 aces in Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all.
Something ain't right here. I don't see 5 aces here. Objection! Wait a minute. It appears the witness is mistaken. Miss.
Taken? But my name.
Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. Why that hand? Why, it's here, of course. It's where? Where is your pointing? A quick question. God damn it. Well, enough bluffing. God damn it. I'm trying to point out that there's only 1 ace. Just gotta pick the right spot. Come on. How about the deck? No, of course it's not the deck. I know it's the cards. There isn't a fifth ace. I am personally by the battle. Hey, what's that? The bottle. Who grabbed the bottle? Oh, there it is. Oh, come on. Okay, there's a card here, and there's a card here. There's no fifth ace. But it looks like 2 kings and a queen. Ace, ace. Not ace, not ace, and not ace. Miss Orley, in your testimony, you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, but as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces. Eee!
Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the third ace in question.
Take another look at the evidence.
As you can see,
The defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating, alright, and it's going on right here in this courtroom. Two aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces in total. Hardly proof of cheating.
wait, please. It is true, I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
That's odd. She must be lying, yet she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts, Mr. Gavin. Who knows what lies in the store for us for this trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards? The cards? Mr. Payne?
Yes?
The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like you to request those cards to be shown in court. Very well, the prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards? These cards don't prove cheating was going on. Nothing will. Which of these hands is more suspicious? I don't remember. Which one was it? Okay. Somebody was cheating, of course. Is the 3 kings / queens? I'd like to view the victim's hand. It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests us to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well, Mr. Payne, if you would.
Very well.
Receive evidence. Victim's hand. Well, time's a-wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir. Yes, I know about this. Dun 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 dun. A blue card! What? No, my mic's been muted. What? When did it mute? When did it mute? I've been reading all this whole time. Oh my god. I think I need to get some water, though. I'll be right back. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm back with water. Now I can keep talking. Where's my mouse? There it is. That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well now, I think you would know the answer to that. Ah, being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I have no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Christoph. Justice? Yes, sir. The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me. At what point did it, mute? I'm really sorry. You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something? Sure. That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright? Ah, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket? Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there. Dat Papa. I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night, was it you? What do you think? Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago, what I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat. I never, honest. But it is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards and all night and still win. Poker. Huh? You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law. Figure out what your opponent is thinking and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding. That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No? Come on, who'd notice that? I noticed. Words, habits, twitches, it's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Miss Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will. Soon. Ah, almost forgot. One more thing. About this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What? I knew it. I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My, power? I had no idea my Quartz of Steel were that special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. That to be continued. Let's save. Save failed. No. Okay, hold on. I'll just save state. Save state as stream Apollo 1. There we go. Perfect. Okay, we know it won't save then. April 20th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again.
That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand. Very well. The witness will take the stand. Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession? Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser. Not. Haha! Name's Olga Orly. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orly. Oh really? Wanna know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really. No really. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied. Witness, you will tell the court where you were really up to that night. Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see? Let me remind you that you're currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy, Smith, hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game, as a waitress. So you were in cahoots with the victim. Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. You swapped the cards. Exposing the cheater and losing on top of that. It would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Indeed. Getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Oh really? Oh really? How droll. But it appears you've made quite the mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right! He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to slip free from a trap laid by Quick Fingers Orly. Oh really? The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind's shtick. Cute. Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. Bad to the bone. When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung. The best laid traps. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him, but the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up the bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good cheating defendant. A surprisingly frank testimony that leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you. Perfect. If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking. Well, the testimony, for what's worth, it's all yours, Mr. Justice. Witnesses like her. Who needs criminals? And with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? Okay, she put her hand on her neck. Wait a minute. Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright, thoroughly, and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... What was that just now? I sensed it, something. Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What do I do? Should I press her a little harder? Press harder! Miss Orly, you're hiding something! What are you talking about? You! Me, Quick Fingers Orly? Hiding something? The defense will provide from baseless accusations. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment that the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true. I did see it. Honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. With my own eyes, I saw it. This is a weird vibe I'm getting. That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching her neck, was it? Spooky inverted music! Spooky! Whoa! What's going on? The sensation is coming into focus. There! That twitch! It's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before. Perceive! I didn't realize I had to press the perceive button. Miss Orley, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory, and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us? Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss Orley, whenever you recall the crime of that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happen when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an inerasable impression on your neck is this. The bottle! Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us of the moment than this bottle, the murder weapon? But something doesn't fit. If you were the only witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit. Not you! This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits? They're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment. I am not knowing nothing. We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now. Bah! Fine. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there. You seem uneasy. You try sitting up here. Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think her testimony is. Flawed. It's basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. What's that? Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony. She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. Oh man. Hey Akechi, we're playing Phoenix Wright. Apollo Justice specifically. Oh man, I wasn't paying complete attention. Evidence. Guys, what was the evidence? I forgot. I got distracted by Akechi coming here. I'm making excuses, actually. It's not your fault, Akechi. I'm not sorry I blamed you. What was it? Crap! Well, crap. I didn't actually mean to click there. Mr. Justice, you might want to think about your future before doing that again. Ah, that one hurt. Different personality, but the same testimony. Their circumstances have changed, yet her testimony is not. That means there's got to be a contradiction in there. Quite. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. You seem uneasy. You try sitting up here. After the crime, what was the defendant like? Oh, well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at the table until the cops came. Oh yes! The phone! Flawed! It contradicts the evidence. What's that? Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. The phone! Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. Huh? And we know the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. Ah! So, explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Ah! The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. Showdown time. You dirty cheat! Check his pockets, now! It's gone! The card's gone! You lose. Ah! Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from Mr. next to the right, and he hit me! You! Some master of cheating you turned out to be! When I came to, the victim was already dead. Is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in the league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. Well, where does this leave us? Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit by the bottle, and I'm imagining all this! It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that, as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss Orley a big fat liar. What? 3 were in that room at the night of the murder. The defendant, the victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled. The witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of that argument was murder. What? I didn't. I'm no killer. It's a trap. Someone's trying to frame me. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled, we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright! Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Mr. Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped in the victim's hand after the murder, and the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person. Ha! This theory again. Your 4th person doesn't exist. Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court.
Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less.
What?
Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about? Sorry. Remember what I said. The fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the back of the cards. Right. But how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there's one person here, in our court, who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, and I had that impression too, but why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was?
It's not me, I swear.
Who is this fourth person? Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? Christoph Gavin. As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right? Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. But of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of this crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in this photo! Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense, a competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is there something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me. It was just so sudden. Right. You aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph? You know even I'd never take a joke this far.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder?
I assure you, I'm quite sane.
What possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim?
I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There's a possibility, after all. They may have met that night, before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is it the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss Orley... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Oh, okay. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Yes! This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along, and I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. Et tu, Justice? You would betray me, your teacher? I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. Justice! Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand. Please. Appetite before murder. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut in his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder? I dine with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder?
Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice? Sir! He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Vershid, right. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? Appetite before murder. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. Let's press it! 5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure.
Hee hee hee. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Kristoff, Gavin, and Shady Smith may have met?
I believe I did say that.
Here I was all nervous about the meeting, and now here they just passed in the hall.
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be, if that was really all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Miss Olga Orley mentioned? Plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. You swapped the cards! Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Yes, a harmless prank, in essence. I catch you, you'll pick it up. It was quite a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted! Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen if I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle of grape juice? The murder weapon? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama. Card inside the murder weapon. That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Mr. Wright, the pokerhead of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. But there's nothing in the bottle. Oh, come on. What do you mean by uncontrollable? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at that time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. One second. Gonna save a state. There we go. Save 1. I'm pretty sure this is it. But if it isn't... On. There we go. I'm pretty sure I have a good idea. And when you returned, the victim was already dead. Yes, I'll admit. I was a little startled when I walked in. Little? He was bleeding from his forehead after all. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. God damn it. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and load that. Oh no, we broke the sounds! There we go. Oh wait, this is the one I already read. Sorry. Rip mic. The mic is fine. That wasn't the mic, that was the game. Why in the bottle? I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see. I knew what was coming. Oh ho, so you struck first. I like that. I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. Hmm? Guys, the mic is fine. That was the game. At least when you get lucky and stick your hand up in your pocket, they don't. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. That's when I made another phone call. The defense attorney Gavin. Could you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? I had obviously gotten into a rather sticky affair, and I figured Kristoff's law offices would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Ah, glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved, after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you'd have to do. He's lying. Expose him, now. Yes, sir. I have to think, what's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with this testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. I actually went and got grape juice. God damn this emulator. There we go. Sorry, every time I save it, it does that. Okay, let's present the bottle. Nope. Sorry. Crap! There we go. Why in the bottle? I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. Okay. One second. Let's see. One second. Fine. No, the sound. It's dying again. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. Press the cut. And when you returned, the victim was already dead. Yes. I'll admit I was a little startled when I walked in. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I know it's about the forehead. Okay, I think. Not crime photo 2. What? Crime photo 1. There we go! Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice! Next time you point out an inconsistency, point a little or oomph into it. Mr. Wright, could you explain this to the court? Ah, I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Huh? You? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view. Shining bright, just like in this photograph. And I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the scene. So, Miss Orley didn't see it. It being the victim's his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through the case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence. Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Card in the bottle. I think I had to present this, so hold on. Save. Nope. That fixes it. Okay. Not that one. Nope. Hey, I can't save in this game. Cheater, 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 penciling. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable, so I left to call the police. He was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. God damn it, game. I know. The thing is, I know that there's a thing. There's you have to present this. Because the blood, it's wrong. I just don't remember when or how. Not there. Press it off. Yes, he dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying our usual dinner at our usual spot, as usual. There's a sound better. Usual. I always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner? Indeed. The remnants of my meal were Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left. After that... Press it all again. 5 minutes. So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shady Smith may have met? I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting. And now, we just passed the hall? That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be, if that was what really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding from me? I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. Why in the bottle? I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I used my entrapment, you see. I knew what was coming. So you struck first. I like that. I know every trick of the book. They don't work on me. Oh, when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Call phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Cell phones. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. I discovered the trap during the game, and disposed of the card in the bottle. Oh wait, I just used that one. Sorry. The cut on his forehead. Why did the mic go muted? It muted as soon as I yawned. That's weird. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determining to lie his way through this course. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? Let's continue the cross-examination. Examine. The bottle is completely empty. Object! Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. Huh? No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely isn't all you have to say for yourself. I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came out and took it out. Oh, and a sixth person could have helped. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor. I won't have you disparaging on our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what's going on? Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear? The thing was, I had to examine it. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ivan. I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin? This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone? Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Huh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. Reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going so well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him. Hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Bone china plate. Kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second, something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club? Most certainly. Then, how did he know? When did he see this bone china plate? Oh, that's right! Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court? Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it? Phoenix Wright? Order! I will have order! Mr. Payne!
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear defense attorney Gavin's testimony?
Yeah, him as well as the prosecutor,
Very well, we'll break for 10 minutes. After which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well, this will be the first final recess for the day. That was 2 hours? Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both locked in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? Huh? What? Hello, sir. Please, pick a card. Any card. What's this about? Is this one okay? Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That is all. An ace. Where do I remember that card from?
Mr. Smith's hand was 3 aces. Mr. Wright's 2. It was 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
Missing 5th ace. Wait, this blotch of red. Is it blood? You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. This blood-stained card. It's my trump card for finding the truth? I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently. But where? That's when I made the connection. Bloody ace added to the court record. April 20th, 2:45 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. The witness state his name and occupation.
Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing that we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? Secret. By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it. I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin.